So today I'm going to introduce you to a couple different projects that I'm going to be working on this spring that I intended to do last fall, but sometimes things get out of control and all of your plans don't work out. So winter came and I didn't get done with exactly what I thought I was going to get done, and so now we're to the spring season. So if you need to do some spring seeding this year, I'm going to show you what I was doing to prepare these areas. There's two different kinds of scenarios here, and I'm also going to be taking you through this journey this spring on how to seed all this stuff or how to work on these two different projects that I'm going to be working on as examples for you. So as we know, fall would be the ideal time if you're going to be doing some seeding of cool season grass. But sometimes it's not possible to plant everything for the fall, and sometimes spring is the second best option. Especially in a case like this out in my sister-in-law's acreage, where there's some bare ground out there from some work that had to be done around their septic system, and you can't just leave that all a big mud mess for the entire season. So I was planning on seeding that late last fall, kind of doing more of a dormant seeding on it, but things didn't quite work out, and so now we've moved into the spring season. I want to show you what I'm going to do with that this year and start preparing for it now. Secondly, my father-in-law's yard has experienced some changes over the years. He's had Kentucky bluegrass in there, maybe a mix of Kentucky bluegrass and rye. Things are a lot different from when he planted his lawn back about 20 years ago till now in terms of shade and the cultivars that were used and things like that. So we're going to be working on trying to introduce some different things into that yard now, thicken it up this year, or we might decide to do a full renovation yet. Haven't made any big decisions there in terms of a full renovation, but first we wanted to try some dormant seeding, so he did get some seed down before the snowfall came, but also probably be laying down a little more seed here and deciding if we want to even slice in some seed coming into the springtime. The other thing you could do if you add this on top of the soil would be to add a light top dressing on top of there to hold some moisture down onto it and make sure that seed doesn't get removed from a heavy rainfall or from some birds or anything else that might want to come take that away. There's a couple different options there in terms of what I want to show you and what you can do right now to prepare for some things in the spring. I also got a chance today to come take a look again at my father-in-law's yard, and he did actually do some dormant seeding, but of course the soil is not warm enough yet to really see any of those results, so I'll be interested to see that. I did bring him a little more seed as well. He put it on kind of early, so just in case. I'm also going to be doing a soil test for him so we get a sense of what's going on here. As I said, a lot has changed in his yard with shade, so that's one of the major issues that we're going to have to combat, but also getting a soil test to understand what kind of nutrients he might need, where the pH is at, that type of thing. That's going to be important here as well to getting this thing back in shape for him and kind of having him enjoy his yard again, which is obviously the main goal. With the acreage, we have about 14,000 square feet of area that needs to be seeded, and it was kind of a bumpy mess here. So what I did last fall was I took a four-wheeler and a drag and I tried to smooth things out as much as I can. Now I just made a trip back there this past weekend to kind of see what things were looking like, and it looks like, one, we need to clean up from winter, which is very typical with a lot of trees around there, but two, I can probably take a drag over this again. It's not mushy anymore from winter and it's dried out enough that I think I'm going to take a drag over there, try to smooth this surface even more and make it as smooth as we can before the seeding. Well, I'm back at my sister-in-law's today and I had to come get my car out, so honestly it doesn't look too bad overall, so it's going to be ready for seed here. There's kind of a period of cold coming here soon, then I want to get the seed down right after that, and I think it's going to be spring. Let's cross our fingers that it's going to be spring after that. So that's the plan, but I wanted to get a sense of it today. Looks like there's just some things to clean up and be ready to go. The second project that I just checked on was my father-in-law's. So again here, just looking at this, it's just a thinned out situation from having a lot of differences in shade, and the Kentucky bluegrass that he was using previously is not probably too much of a big fan of having this much shade anymore. So we're gonna have to make some changes in terms of these conditions, and it's something that happens in a lot of yards as trees mature and things change from when you first planted a grass to 20 years later. So one of the things that we did last fall before we actually did that dormant seeding was we did just remove all of the dead stuff that had been there from summer and all of the debris out of the lawn. So to kind of thin it out even more than it was, just to make sure that all of that dead stuff is not going to hinder putting new seed down, we would rather have that new seed be the stuff that grows in on the thinner areas than have a bunch of old debris there that's going to hinder that new seed. So we did do that. We have it all thinned out. Then my father-in-law put down his seed before we got the first major type of snowfall, and then he just let it sit all of winter. And of course, you're not seeing any of the germination yet because we're not there in terms of soil temperatures. We've had another stretch here of cold weather the last week, which soil temperatures are still fairly low, so you won't really see that germination yet until those soil temperatures start to come up. Hopefully the spring rainfall here will also come, which is typical of our area. It's looking like next week it's supposed to warm up a little bit, and also we're supposed to get some rainfall. So we'll see if some of that seed does start to pop out. We did put down ryegrass for fast germination, and because I sort of knew that I'd like to see something get going this year, and if he decides that he would like to start over with it, then we'll make a decision at that point. But I would like to see it thicken up here and have him get back to at least a yard that he enjoys, and ryegrass was going to be a spring solution for us that was going to be a lot faster than trying to grow in some bluegrass again. Now, in terms of actual methods for seeding, I'll be showing you that in future videos coming up, and then I'm going to be showing you too what you can kind of do as a pre-emergent solution with tenacity or mesotrione to use that effectively right now, since you can't use a product like prodiamine or dithiopyr as your typical pre-emergence for weeds. So we're going to be doing a different scenario in the springtime to use that tenacity, and then do a follow-up application about a month after that seeding happens as well. Try to catch everything that we can. After that, I'm going to watch for crabgrass and other grassy weeds, try to catch them at the early stages, and then use a product maybe like quinclorac at that point to catch those weeds early, get those before they get into maturity during the summertime. So that's kind of the change there, what you have to focus on for spring seeding and pre-emergence, since you can't use the typical pre-emergence that you might use that get you months down the road here into the summer, because they'll prevent that seed from growing. That's going to be the plan, but I'll show you all of that in the videos coming up. I'm not sure if my father-in-law is going to get his seeding done before I get there to film that, but if he does, I'll just be able to still explain it to you here coming up, and we'll follow both of these projects. I'll take you along for the ride and show you what works, what maybe didn't work, and we'll find out exactly how everything turns out. So I hope that gave you some info on preparing for your spring seeding this year. Thanks so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time. So got the car put away for the winter. It's always a sad day, but it has to be done. The reason that it stays as nice as it does and I don't go crazy trying to keep it as nice as it is because I don't drive it in the winter, and it's not really a winter car anyway, obviously. So I first put on the car cover to just keep all the dirt and dust off of it as much as possible. Then I put it inside of this little zip up thing, so that just helps prevent anything as far as animals or mice or something else, just help prevent anything from coming in there and starting to get into the car. And I've used it for the last couple years anytime I've parked it out here at the farm, and it works really well. So far it's been a good option for me to keep the car nice, keep everything out of it, and store it away for the winter.